Over a decade ago, back in May of 2013, Microsoft unveiled the Xbox One console to the entire world. And needless to say, it didn't go exactly as they'd hoped it would go. Previously, the PlayStation 4 had been revealed by Sony, and they did a really good job of showing off the games that were actually coming out, and it really resonated with gamers around the world. Coming off the success of the Xbox 360, it should have been a slam dunk that Microsoft would have a pretty large built-in fan base eager to upgrade to the next generation of Xbox gaming. Unfortunately, that did not happen. Microsoft really muddled the waters, and people jumped ship pretty quickly. We hadn't yet reached the day and age of digital games on demand like we have now. And neither the Xbox One or PS4 were backwards compatible at launch, so people weren't endeared to the Xbox ecosystem yet. Of course, now the Xbox One is backwards compatible with a wide range of Xbox 360 and even some original Xbox games. Now that we're a decade past the Xbox One release, with a new year here, I thought it'd be the perfect time to reflect and talk about the Xbox One, and if 2024 is a good time to buy one, and if so, what are the games that you should purchase? At the end of the day, the Xbox One got some things wrong. But because of those wrong things, they managed to change and make things even better for gamers everywhere. The original Xbox One focus of TV, Kinect, and online check-ins weren't what gamers wanted at the time. But now they've implemented things like backwards compatibility, Game Pass, and even the Elite controller, which is my all-time favorite controller. Now there's reasons why people might just be thinking of getting into Xbox One. Maybe they were more of a PlayStation gamer before, and they want to catch up on the back catalog of what Xbox has to offer. In which case, this is the perfect video to watch. Believe it or not, there's still games that release to this day on Xbox One, and probably for another couple of years. Games like Madden, Call of Duty, and FIFA. And honestly, there's not been a ton of current-gen only games that makes me say that you absolutely need to buy a current-gen console at this point. So that might happen in the future, but unlike previous generations, it just hasn't happened. Obviously, when the Xbox One was announced, it was actually easy to make the jokes, and a lot of people made jokes. Hearing the TV focus is enough to make anyone walk out of a room. Now, there's multiple versions of the Xbox One that you can pick up. The launch Xbox One can be found for probably under $100 these days. Then there's the Xbox One S, which has a 4K Blu-ray player and is much smaller and sleeker design than the launch Xbox, and it also offers HDR gaming. And there's also the Xbox One X, which is a much more powerful Xbox One that plays a lot of games in 4K with enhanced graphics. These still tend to run close to $200, but in my opinion is the best option if you're still looking to play Xbox One games, because the performance is going to be much better. If you own a 4K TV and want to get the most out of it, I would highly suggest the Xbox One X console. If you just have any old 1080p TV and you just want to try out the Xbox One games, then by all means, pick up one of the launch Xbox One. It's still a fine machine, and like I said, you can pick it up rather cheap. So let's take a look at some of the games that you should probably look forward to playing when you pick up your console. Obviously, Halo is the game that most people associate with Xbox, and Halo 5 is eye candy for sure. While it might be the weakest in terms of story, it has some pretty awesome set pieces to play through, and the multiplayer is still active and very fun. For me personally, I think the Halo 4 story was the best, featuring Master Chief and Cortana, and 5 sort of missed that mark because of the relationship, and it takes a backseat to other characters that you most likely won't care about at all. Halo 5 might not be the best Halo game in history, but it's definitely a fun romp with some fantastic gameplay, and there's also Halo Master Chief Collection if you're looking to get your Halo fix in or maybe haven't played Halo at all. Being able to play the Halo CE Remake, Halo 2 Anniversary, Halo 3, Halo 4, Halo ODST, and Halo Reach is an epic thing. The Chief is still the biggest thing on Xbox, even Xbox One. Now, when you buy a new console at launch, most people, myself included, want games that really showcase the graphical capabilities and what graphics can do on the new console. And Rise: Son of Rome is just that. Now, this isn't a super high-rated game, but most everyone I've suggested this game to have really enjoyed it. The graphics, even in 2024, hold up extremely well. and it really showcases what the Xbox One could do. Now, the game is rather short, probably about 6 to 8 hours to complete, but there's various collectibles to find, and it makes going back and doing the levels again well worthwhile. The gameplay isn't anything too exciting. There needed to be more variety in my opinion and more variety in weapons, but the story and voice acting are tremendous and the sound and graphics are top notch. So this is definitely a game I'd recommend to Xbox One owners. It's also a M-rated game, so keep that in mind when you go to pick out games as well. A really fun game and a game that I think a lot of people overlook. One of my all-time favorite games is actually on Xbox One, and that's Sunset Overdrive. Maybe you've heard of Insomniac Games, the creators of Ratchet & Clank, Spyro the Dragon, Resistance Fall of Man, and even the new Spider-Man games. Well, they actually did an Xbox One exclusive game back in 2014, and it's one of the most fun and colorful games you'll ever play. There's a ton of variety and weapons to pick up in the game. Basically, you're killing amped up zombies, but the gameplay is absolutely incredible. There's really nothing quite like it. You grind, jump, and flip your way through enemies, and there's even a couple of pretty awesome expansions to pick up and play through that's incredibly cheap. The story is absolutely over the top and M-rated, but it's easily Insomniac Games' most fun and impressive game that they've ever created, in my humble opinion anyway. I honestly cannot recommend Sunset Overdrive enough to people, and it's extremely cheap to buy, or you can play it through Game Pass. Absolutely recommend it. So much fun. I absolutely have a blast with this game, so I'm sure that you will as well. Now, when it comes to amazing racing games, Xbox One has got you covered, but I went with Forza Horizon 5 here. This game came out in 2021, so not too long ago, and it's probably one of the best racing games of all time. Cruising around Mexico is tremendous, and they brought back the Hot Wheels racing circuit, which is a blast. Driving everywhere searching for barn finds and secrets is a great way to spend some time gaming. Now, collecting cars, taking pictures, experiencing the different seasons, leveling up, Forza Horizon 5 is distinct because there's always something fun to do. Daily, weekly, and monthly quests and rewards, you literally can never run out of fun things in the game to find. And the amount of content and cars in the base game is unbelievable. I think to date over 35 million people have played Forza Horizon 5 because it appeals to casual and racing fans alike. I highly recommend this game in 2024 and really in any year. If you're looking for fantastic racing games and you like racing games, Xbox One is where it's at because you have on an Xbox One Forza Horizon 2, Forza Horizon 3, Forza Horizon 4, and Forza Horizon 5. All available, and you even have the Forza Motorsport series with Forza Motorsport 5, 6, and 7, all on Xbox One. One of the most interesting and personal favorite games of mine is Sea of Thieves. Now, as most of you know, Rare Studios hadn't really been doing much for Xbox when the Xbox One came out. They started strong with games like Viva Pinata, Cameo, and Perfect Dark Zero. But we're down to making Kinect games when the Xbox One launched. Fast forward a bit and they put out one of the most fun and incredible games of all time. If you're wondering what Sea of Thieves is, it's a shared world pirate adventure game. You can play solo of course, but the real fun is playing with friends and finding treasure and adventure on the high seas. But watch out, because other players can come steal your treasure at any moment. And that's what makes Sea of Thieves so much fun. You build your own adventure, and it's an incredible time with friends. A pirate MMO that's been the staple of Xbox One since 2018 is all the more reason to pick up an Xbox One and give the game a try. There's even a Pirates of the Caribbean expansion that you can play through featuring Captain Jack Sparrow and tons of other expansions, and they're all free expansions, so keep that in mind when playing as well. Now, so far all the games I've listed are console exclusive to Xbox, which is a pretty cool reason to pick up an Xbox One, and that continues to be the case here with Gears of War 5. Now, the original Gears of War trilogy stands up as some of the best games of all time, but with that being said, Gears of War 5 is a great looking game that does offer some fun gameplay. Now, Gears of War 5 takes more advantage of the hardware than previous games, and there's some pretty cool open world areas to explore and far more enemies than we've ever seen before in a Gears game. I think unfortunately though, Gears 5's story suffers a bit much like the Halo 5 story did. I'm not sure what happened in the time between Gears of War 3 and 5, but the story itself and the characters just aren't as in your face. Maybe times have changed, and that's what that's all about, right? Back in 2006 when Gears of War launched, it was a different time, different things were considered acceptable or whatever, but the gameplay is still there and it's still tight, and the game, it's still a lot of fun to play. The fact that you can play all 6 Gears of War games on Xbox One is pretty cool. So if you are getting to Xbox for the first time, just buy it at cheap Xbox One and you can have access to all 6 games on your Xbox One. It's pretty crazy to think about that. Moving on to one of my favorite franchises, Titanfall 2 is an absolute must-own on Xbox One. The first Titanfall was an Xbox One console exclusive, but it's multiplayer only, and while it is amazing, it has no one actively on it anymore. However, Titanfall 2 has a fantastic single-player campaign, and the multiplayer is still very active. And you can honestly find games on there anytime you want. And the game itself, if you're looking to buy it, $5 to $10 these days, so it's incredibly cheap. As I previously stated, the single-player campaign is absolutely one for the ages, even if it's a bit on the shorter side. The multiplayer is still very active and something different from the traditional thing that we're used to these days. I know nowadays we see Battle Royale everywhere, but things were so much simpler back then. If you're into more of a team-based and traditional multiplayer game with some mechs, I'd highly recommend Titanfall 2. It's one of the best games that you can play on Xbox One. I absolutely cannot suggest it more. Now, one of the mainstays that releases on Xbox One, even in 2024, and probably count on it next year as well, is Call of Duty. And Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2 is pretty darn awesome. Now, this could easily be Modern Warfare 3 because that's on the list as whatever, and has also released on Xbox One. But I kind of preferred Modern Warfare 2 in terms of the campaign and things like that. I know it's kind of an acquired taste, but Call of Duty games are a staple to casual gaming fans and to a lot of people. People talk bad about Call of Duty, but most everybody picks it up and plays it. Modern Warfare 2 has a pretty great campaign, and the multiplayer is fun, if not spectacular. Although, like I said, I prefer the Modern Warfare 3 multiplayer, I think Modern Warfare 2 has the overall better package for gamers. The game still plays well on Xbox One, and it's honestly a staple at this point to have Call of Duty games to play if you're a console owner. So if you're a person who loves Call of Duty or just wants to pick it up when you have friends or something like that, absolutely feel free to pick it up. And keep in mind, Call of Duty games are all crossplay nowadays. So if your friends are on PlayStation and you want to play on Xbox, you can still do that. It's not a big deal. That's how things work nowadays. Now, to stick with newer games that release on Xbox One, believe it or not, Hogwarts Legacy is a newer one, and it's pretty damn fantastic. You don't really even have to be a Harry Potter fan to enjoy the game, because it's set a long time before the events of the books or the movies. I honestly just treated it as a fantasy RPG, and it's such a good game to get lost into because there's a great story with memorable characters, and most importantly, they made the game fun. Getting a solid RPG that can easily sink 100 plus hours into is awesome. So if you do happen to be a Potter fan though, there's enough to keep you vested as well. There's obviously all the new characters, the animals, spells, and Hogwarts are all things you probably know quite well. And it's a ton of fun deciding if you want to be good or an evil wizard. There's absolutely a boatload of content and choices to make in this game, and it's highly recommended. Just believe it or not, it's just treated as a good, fun RPG, and that's how I did. One of the most charming and fun games that you can play on Xbox One is Psychonauts 2, and this is a fantastic sequel to a game that came out many years ago on the original Xbox. Believe it or not, this is a crowdfunded game, and when Microsoft bought the studio that was making the game, they gave them more time and money to make an even better game, and it paid off big time. This game is packed with content, is full of fun humor, and awesome platforming gameplay. It's a fully accessible game as well because it has a game mode where you can't die. Literally, anyone can pick up and play this amazing game. Now, if you don't know what Psychonauts is or was, you play a character named Raz who uses psychic abilities to fight inside people's minds. It's honestly a one-of-a-kind type of game, and it looks and plays awesome on the Xbox One. This is one of those ones that is highly rated, so definitely play this one if you get a chance. Now, I wanted to do a few quick honorable mentions here. Xbox One is a platform that got a lot of hate for many years, and Microsoft is still fighting to combat that in some cases. But the games are the most important thing at the end of the day. Now, 8 out of the 10 games that I've listed are available on Xbox Game Pass, so if you're new to the Xbox ecosystem, you could easily pick up a cheap Xbox One and play most of these games for an incredibly low price. So that's why I can recommend Xbox One at this particular time. And Xbox One also has an excellent arcade selection as well. Games like Battletoad, Crimson Dragon, Killer Instinct, these games help define what Xbox is today. Some may be considered hidden gems, some might not have had the highest Metacritic ratings, but what I found out through the years is that games that tend to get super high ratings are games that cater to critics specifically. Critics are looking for certain things. Now, many people enjoy games that maybe weren't critical darlings, but that were simply fun to play, and that's what gaming is all about. Now, if you enjoy my videos, please like and consider subscribing to my channel, as it enables me to continue to do videos, and it enables my videos to be seen by other people. Thank you all so much for watching. This has been a blast to go over these games. Have a fantastic day. Game on, my friends. Game on.